Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Up Close on METV. On June 20th, the Visible Men Academy will successfully have completed its first year as an all-boys public charter school in Bradenton, Florida, serving students in kindergarten, first, and second grade. Now, you may have seen some local media coverage of all of their achievements. Their successful Kaboom playground built in just one day, the Legacy of Valor Black Veterans event they hosted at the Visible Men Academy, and their recent field trip with their students to Eckerd colleges, or the many partnerships with local community organizations. Today, we're very pleased to be joined by two of the Visible Men Academy co-founders, Neil Phillips, the VMA co-founder and principal, and the CEO and Chief Operating Officer, Lewis Parker. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Neil, I can't tell you how great it is to see you both here again, and to wish you congratulations for a very successful first year.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Charles. Appreciate it. It's really says a lot to be here a year after we had spoken. It's the passage of time and the accomplishments that we feel very fortunate to have made. It's special to be here. Well,
the first year kind of went by, I'm sure, pretty quick, didn't it?
Yes.
But you accomplished an awful lot with that first year. Tell us of some of those great things that have happened at Visible Men Academy.
Sure. Well, you mentioned some of the more tangible sort of events that we hosted, the playground build, which was such a great milestone for us because it involved so many members from the community.
Right.
I think the thing we're most pleased by and most excited by is that we have a school community of boys and their families who are very attached to Visible Men Academy. They feel great about being VMA sons. We call our students sons. And so it's real. And the thing that we set out to do first and foremost was we wanted our students to love school. Yeah. We wanted them to have a very positive attachment to the school experience, and we feel like we've accomplished that with a very strong culture.
And you certainly have. I mean, you've gotten a tremendous response from the community, you know, for the success and for the mission that you've undertaken. But also, I would imagine, I'd like to share for you to share that with us, from the parents involved, because you know the parents have got to be very, very supportive of what you're doing.
Yeah, well, and it's so meaningful to us to have the parents as supportive as they've been. We're a charter school, and by definition, our parent body has to choose to send their children, in our case, their sons, to us. And so we really cherish that choice, and we don't take it lightly, and so we really want to do right by them. And the fact that they have believed in our mission from day one, many of them signed on before we even had a school campus, before we could tell them an address. And so the faith that they showed in our mission and our ability to execute what we said we were going to do is very meaningful to us, so we have great pride and appreciation for our parent body.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, because, you know, aside from you and Lewis, you have a really wonderful staff and faculty. And I'd like for both of you to take a moment and talk about, the success of any environment is the people that make it work on a day-to-day basis. And Lewis, as the CFO and the Chief Operating Officer, you've got a great team of people working with you. Tell us, how many people do we have?
We have 15. Team of 15. They are outstanding. One of the things that we focused on in the hiring process is they had to believe in our mission. And that was the #1 criteria. If they believed in our mission, and then, of course, qualifications as well. So that has allowed us to have a very cohesive team that really believes in the mission, drives the education and the character building of, of our sons as well. So we're very pleased with the staff we have.
Well, that for both of you, I mean, it's got to be a great thing because you're doing kindergarten, first, second, third grade. It's got to have a dedicated teacher, a dedicated, who really knows how to emphasize that learning for young children, and to have somebody not only who believes in your mission, but also has those credentials and passion as a teacher.
That's right. Well, and it's also care. When Lewis talks about that criteria being attachment to our mission, that's the most important thing, because that's what our teachers lean on every day, every hour of the day, is the fact that they have such a strong belief in the potential of all of the boys with whom they work every single day. And when you have that belief, you go the extra mile to be able to affect it, and we see that on a very, very regular basis on our school campus.
And it's really a unique experience. First of all, it's all boys, and it's kindergarten, first, second, and third.
Kindergarten, first, second this year.
And then third.
And then next year, our second graders will matriculate to third grade. We're also adding fourth grade.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I mean, that's got to be exciting, adding a fourth grade level.
Well, it is, and we want to provide this opportunity to as many boys in the community who can take advantage of it. And the fact that we, this time next year, in essence, we're going to be recruiting for a full K-5 elementary school. It's exciting.
It's great.
Yeah, it really
I mean,
is.
and the growth is based on the success that you bring to each and every student, and we want to talk about how that success kind of manifests itself.
Sure.
But one of the unique things is I want you to tell people about this college prep curriculum that VMA does and how it's aligned with the present-day Common Core. First of all, having a college prep curriculum, for young people, some people say, well, is that necessary? But you have a very definitive purpose why that's used. And can you tell us about that?
Sure, and so some of it is, as you mentioned, our curriculum is aligned with the Common Core, which is obviously a national endeavor that's getting a lot of attention, and to really elevate the academic development of all students across the country, and so we're fully on board with that, and our program reflects that. So much of our curriculum that we deliver is directly aligned to the Common Core, so when we see our students sort of proficiencies and deficiencies, we're looking at them relative to the National Common Core. So that's important. But the other piece to our college prep program is less academic and more psychological. We really want all of our boys to cultivate as many options for their life paths as they possibly can, so that they'll be in a position to make strong and healthy choices. So we embed imagery. We expose our students to imagery of what it means, what is college, and what does it mean to be a college student, and what does going to college provide for you in terms of opportunities and life choices. So this past week, as you mentioned, last week we took our boys, every one of our students, kindergartners, first graders, and second graders, we took a field trip up to Eckerd College up in St. Pete, just to spend a few hours on a college campus. We were met and greeted by one of their students and also an administrator from the university. Spoke with our boys about the college experience, about some unique elements of the Eckerd College experience. And then we were able to just spend a few hours just walking around with our boys and showing them the library and the dock and dormitories and all sorts of things to spur conversation. And most importantly, to etch an indelible impression in our boys' minds of what can be a part of their future, so that they start to work toward that even at this young age.
I think that's just a remarkable thing at a very young age, to be able to take people and to introduce them, to something that perhaps they've never seen before, or to establish that kind of initial connection, that pathway, so to speak. And I think it's a one. And I'm sure that as kindergarten, first and second graders, that's something that they'll remember, something that kind of embeds in them and helps them, further on down the road.
That's right.
But there's so many things that you and the school have kind of initiated, and one of those is something called the SHINE culture. And you've created that, and give us an idea what that is. What's that acronym stand for?
Sure.
And why it's an important part of VMA.
Yeah,
You share
well,
the acronym.
I will, and then SHINE, for us, it's an acronym of our core values, and the S stands for selflessness, the H for honesty, the I is integrity, the N is niceness, and the E is excellence. And we are a SHINE culture, and we inundate our boys, our sons, with this notion of SHINE. So if you're walking around our building, you're sure to hear a teacher or a student talking about SHINE and say, I'm shining today, or was that shining behavior? And so it's very common language for us. And the reason it's important is because it's such a key element of our culture, but it's really a key element of our mission. We believe very, very strongly that character can be taught in the same ways that you teach reading and math and social studies. So we're very intentional about teaching our boys what these things mean, how to demonstrate them, how to get better at them, how to expect them from others, again, so that they'll be an indelible part of who they are as they grow up into young men and then ultimately adults.
And I think, I'm sorry, Louis, go right ahead.
I was going to add to that, it's more than just the SHINE. We actually measure that. And we have someone came in at the beginning of the year, measured the boys' understanding of each one of the characteristics of SHINE, the selflessness, honesty, and then had her come back in April and measure the progress that we're making on how they're able to articulate each one of those, how they're able to demonstrate each one of those. So we do measure that as well as part of our character development.
And I think that's really important to see, where you've succeeded, where perhaps, some more effort needs to be taking place. But I would suggest, too, having this kind of measurable, qualities to it, is that, if a young boy starts there in kindergarten, he goes through first and into second, into third, you, and as you've mentioned, Neil, are constantly reinforcing that, so that, those first formative grades, you are constantly reinforcing these specific values that they carry through with them, that become part of their character.
That's right.
So, and I think that's a remarkable thing, the character development.
Yeah, well, and it contributes so much to the culture of our school. And what we have seen is that our boys take great pride in shining, and they take great pride in attending a school that prioritizes these things. And they take pride in their role in upholding each of these core values. So, our vision of how we wanted our school to feel for our students, it's been wonderful to see it play out in real life through the actions and the commitment of these boys and their teachers.
And it's got to be exciting to see that, to see one, from one beginning of a semester to the other, and see that kind of like, he's getting it. That you've got to really take a lot of pride in that too. Well, I want to spend a couple of minutes with Louis, if I may. Now, Louis, your background, corporate finance, the very highest echelons of GE, National Executive Board leadership. Tell us a little bit about VMA and that governing board. How does that function? How does that board work with Neil and everyone else to make that successful?
Well, I will tell you, first of all, as you mentioned, Charles, I'm from a corporate background, and my last job at GE is a $2 billion division and 6,400 employees in 35 countries, and I joke saying that job is a piece of cake compared to, to this job.
To these kindergarten, first and second graders?
So it's a different environment for me. But we have a great board, a great board that really helps us set the direction of the organization. We just had last week our budget approval for next year. They're very involved in fundraising and our development efforts as well. We do have the leader of the parent committee is on our board also, so make sure we get the parents' voice involved. And and we have the first Saturday of every month we have school. It's called Saturday Success Program from 8 to 12, and most of the board members attend that as well. So the board's been very involved in helping us continue to get the word out as well as manage and run the school.
And I would think too, you know, having the growth potential that VMA does, is that fundraising is an essential part, is to getting that word out, trying to, you know, involve the community in your mission.
Right, it is, because we do provide extra services. Now our school day is, when you add it all up, our students attend about 32% more school than public schools. We start at 8, we don't end until 4:15, and we have after school till 5:30. As I mentioned, we have the first Saturday of every month, we have school as well. So we provide a lot of extra services, obviously, for our students, and it requires, and Neil talked about the curriculum as well, and the extra minutes that they do spend, and we have extended school year. I mean, we are still in school. Well,
That's right, you don't get out till this
June 20th.
Friday.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So,
extra time on task.
Extra time on task. And so that obviously costs to do that as well. And so, and we've had some very, very generous supporters of the school.
And I would encourage people, if they want to find out some more information, you know, about what Visible Men Academy does and how they can participate at any level, you know, they can go to your website or, you know, give you a call, and then either you or Neil can kind of walk them through what Visible Men does, and, you know, how perhaps either as a volunteer or as a donor or in some level of involvement.
Yes, and we do a lot of, we welcome people to come tour the facility. We did one today. So yes, we do welcome, and we will show them exactly what's going on and the results.
Well, let me ask you this, because you were saying that each Saturday you have classes. Is it one Saturday a month? Or?
The one Saturday, the first Saturday of every month.
And is that part of, like, you know, all the students come to school for that Saturday?
Yeah, so it is, as Louis mentioned, it's our Saturday Success Program, and we really focus a significant amount of our character development piece on that. And we're Visible Men Academy, and there's meaning to that name. And Visible Men is how we refer to role models in our community.
Among us.
Among us, you have it. And so that these are the men that we want our boys, not just to see, not just to know that they exist in the community, but we want our boys interacting with them. And these are men who our boys are walking by every single day, men who live in their neighborhoods, men who have grown up in backgrounds and circumstances very similar to their own, who have succeeded and who represent all different professional backgrounds and interest areas. So they come in and they share their stories with our boys on that Saturday. And we have our boys ask questions, then we flip it around, and so our Visible Men have been talking about their dreams. Our Visible Men then ask our boys about their dreams, and you know, it's part of our strong interest in what we refer to as connecting our boys to future possibility. We really want them to have a vast array of knowledge and a sense of how broad and how vast this world can be, and we want them to feel like they can access as much of it as they choose.
And I think too is that, and you know, something that you've earlier said, Neil, is that you provide them with a lot of choices. You know, here's this wide variety, here's this world open to you, and you know, we want you to not only understand it, but you know, embrace it. That's and right. try to see that there's so much out of there. And you know, for example, taking young people up to Eckerd College, you know, what a tremendous opportunity for some for young people who may have not left their neighborhood before. So.
Well, you know, we went over the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, and that we could have ended the field trip on the other side of the bridge. There was the excitement for literally that vastness, being able to see so much. It was really a great metaphor for the purpose of the tribute and the existence of our school, frankly. And so it was very fitting.
Yeah, and you should have seen, you know, a couple weeks earlier, we took them to Moat Marine.
Oh. How exciting was that for
That
you?
was, you should have seen their eyes light up. I mean, in seeing that. So those are other examples of how we are exposed, because most of the boys have never been there. They've lived here.
All their life.
All life.
And I think that's an important part of it is, not only is the educational component of raising the standards of, providing the best possible education, but also that expansion of the world around them and coupled with a character development. So, that individual, that young student from kindergarten through first through second, third, is kind of constantly being reinforced by these opportunities that perhaps, they may not experience somewhere else.
Well, that's right. And when we think about the things that have contributed to our success and to the successes of the people we know, friends and family, when we ask them, what is it that has helped to contribute to your success, they talk about resilience, persistence, healthy attitude, healthy relationships, physical health. And it feels to us that if we all know these are the things that are contributing to healthy and successful lives, that we ought to be teaching them. And we have to be teaching them, and we have to think about creative ways to do that. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to say, look, this is what has worked for us.
Right.
And this is what has worked for, success traits are colorblind, they're gender blind, they're age blind, so they're universal, and we want to be very, very deliberate about making sure we pass those on to our boys, as well as reading skills and math skills. It's all important.
And I think you can continue to do that, and it comes back to parental involvement as well. Your talented staff and faculty there, the passion that drives them. But also you have to have that parental kind of excitement as well about what you're doing each and every day.
That's right.
So at the end of a school day, that young student can go and tell his mother and father, he says, do you know what I learned? So there's this constant reinforcement.
That's right. That's exactly.
And so
right.
that's why it's so encouraging to see your parental involvement at the school level as well.
Well, and the second family submits an application to Visible Men Academy, there's parental involvement or there's guardian involvement, because that is the demonstration of exercising a choice. Right. And it's a demonstration of saying there's something about your mission that appeals to us, something about your program, and we choose this. And so that's the start of our parental involvement, and we build on that. And to your point about sort of having these lessons reinforced at home, we give out shine cards. Great currency at VMA is a shine card, which is a reflection of one of our sons demonstrating one of our core values. A teacher can give them a shine card.
How exciting is that?
It's wonderful. And the other day, I rolled up to school and started to get set up for drop off. And the first car that arrived that morning had a shine card hanging from their rearview mirror. So, it's the kind of thing where
it's a badge of honor.
You got it. And Mom said, hey, this is important to our son, and we're going to show that it's important to us. And that's a perfect example of the kind of reinforcement that our parents are certainly providing our boys, which is absolutely critical.
No, that's great to hear. But I want to talk a moment or two about your facility itself. You're located where, Lewis?
At 63rd Street at the Community Church of God, 1003 63rd Street. But we've augmented that campus with it's a 5-acre facility. So we use a part of the church, but then we have 4 portable classrooms that we have installed there as well. And we are going to expand again next year and add additional 2 portables.
Well, and I think that's growth potential. As you add a grade,
Right.
you're going to need more room.
Right.
But one of the things that I would ask for you to take a couple of minutes about is that obviously the mission that you're serving is wider than an area or more pervasive, around a community. How do you reach out to, say, Sarasota or Palmetto or other areas of the county to be able to say, I want you to take advantage of our services. I want, the Visible Men Academy to be available, to a wider. How do you do that, Neil? Or Lewis, do you?
Well, I'll start that. One, we provide transportation. We do have a bus service that starts at the Taylor Center in northern Sarasota and goes all the way up to CVS in Manatee.
Yeah.
So our first child is picked up at 6:17 in the morning. So we do provide the transportation service because we don't want that to be an impediment,
yeah.
to people coming to the school. And we will continue to reach out. We do go as far north as Palmetto and as far south as northern Sarasota in our recruiting efforts as well. So we'll continue to do that. We will continue to look at, we do have the camp, we're committed to Pride Park. We continue to have a campus there. As we look at growth, look at next year and such, we may expand to another location, an additional location, not we'll stay with
Like a
Pride
satellite
Park. Right.
operation, perhaps.
That can focus more on the central core of Bradenton as well.
And why do you think that's important, Neil, to kind of have that greater presence and that outreach?
Well, you touched on it. We feel like we're offering something that is needed, and I'm understating it. We think it's desperately needed, not just here in Manatee County, but across our country. The crisis of underachievement in boys from the demographic that we're serving simply has to be reversed. Period, and it has to be reversed now. So if we are finding results, successful results, which we are, if we are contributing to progress in this area, not only do we feel like we could and should make it as available as possible, we actually feel obligated to. So knowing,
it's a wonderful thought.
Yeah, well, knowing that we think that we have a school culture and environment, and increasingly the results to attract families who are interested in pursuing our mission in the way we deliver it. The last thing we want is for them not to be able to access the
Exactly.
school.
If there's a need, and there's a desire to participate in this program, the geographic boundaries or distance, there shouldn't be an impediment to that young man being able to come to Visible Men Academy.
That's right.
Now, I understand, Neil, that you have some news to share with our audiences about your students' academic performance. What is that?
Well, just generally speaking, we have seen significant improvement, primarily on the FAIR testing, the Florida Assessment in Reading test.
Which is an important tool for educators.
It sure is, and I will, without boring you with details, I will just say that the overwhelming majority of our students arrived to us in the fall in the highest risk level, highest risk for not being proficient at a level that would enable them to pass the FCAT when they take that in third grade. And that was in the fall testing. There are 3 cycles, a fall, winter, and a spring. And in our most recent spring testing, we've actually reversed that entirely.
Congratulations.
So now the overwhelming majority of our students are in the low risk, meaning that they have a high probability for reading success on the FCAT or what replaces the FCAT.
Which will be replaced next
That's right, and we're going to continue with the new FAIR that is coming out and that is sort of recalibrated to the Sunshine State standards. And for us, it's a wonderful gauge of our progress, of our son's progress, of the hard work that our teacher's doing, and even more importantly than any of those things, it is a testament to the standard that we should be expecting, of achievement we should be expecting from these boys, not just us at Visible Men Academy, but everyone. And when we shift the standards, it will help us shift our expectations. And we're convinced that when we shift our expectations, we're going to shift the results and the outcomes.
And Neil, that's a wonderful expression. And not only yours, but your staff and faculty and the leadership team that you have with individuals like Lewis and others. They're continuing to to make every effort. Not only for the success, but the sustained success of all of these young boys. And our hats are off to you. Not only for realizing the mission, but also defining the mission, but also succeeding at the challenges that you face. And it's a really wonderful thing that you've accomplished. And I would encourage people to find out more about Visible Men Academy. And if they did, how do they do that, Lewis? How do they, if they wanted to come do a tour, can they get in touch with you? How do they do that, Lewis?
Well, a couple ways. One is our website is vmacademy.org. So feel free to visit that. Our phone number is 941-758-7588. So you can reach us that way as well. And we're open, and we would welcome anyone to come by and visit, or go to our website, look at our programs, and
I think it's a great idea. I think once people visit there and see the mission and the success and the excitement that you've created at the Visible Men Academy, I think people will be very supportive. We only have a minute or two left. I want to go around. Lewis, what do you want people to know about the Visible Men Academy and their mission?
I want people to know that I benefited from a great education, and I want people to know that when you mix the education expectations, and we do have very high expectations of our students, along with the character development, that's a mix. When you bring that together, it's definitely a formula for success, and we're seeing it. And when you see the boys even talk to each other about shine and how to improve and such, that's really, it really warms your heart.
And I'm sure it does. And I think each and every day when you see a student there interacting with each other or their teachers or even their families for that matter, you can see that, that sense of purpose that's being instilled in them. And Neil, final comment. Again, I can't tell you, this community has really benefited from your vision in doing this. And the continued success is, I'm sure, on the horizon. But what do you want this community to know about Visible Men Academy?
So since you're giving me the final comment, I'm going to say two things. The first thing that I want people to know about Visible Men Academy is that we are realizing what we want this whole country to realize, which is how bright and how capable and how much great potential these boys have. And we need to look at them through that lens, not through a lens of difficulty and strife and struggle, but through a lens of potential and greatness, because they have it, and we just need to create environments that pull that from them.
Right.
And then the second thing I want to say, we rely very, very heavily on community support, and we don't believe that the work we're doing can get done by a school in isolation.
Sure.
We are allies. We are very, very supportive of anyone that's out there that's doing great work in education or in any other social community service way. We consider ourselves allies. We want to help. We need to be helped. So please know that when Lewis talks about us being open and please come by, he is being very, very sincere about that. We see this as a community effort.
And it certainly is. And I can't thank you enough, gentlemen, for taking the time, which I know is a very busy schedule, last week of school here, and to take some time to talk about this. I think this is a very important endeavor in this community. And as Neil mentioned, this is an effort that should be made statewide, nationally, to encourage, empower, and to educate, young people in not only the value of education, but also in those character development. And I think the work that you're doing is just fabulous, and continued good luck. And I would invite you back, perhaps.
Thank you.
Perhaps you come back with some parents next time, talk about the success that they see within their children.
That's wonderful. We really appreciate the opportunity. You've been supportive and encouraging from day one, and just know how much we appreciate it.
And thank you, Neil, for that. And thank you, Lewis.
Thank
and
you.
thank you for joining us on this edition of Up Close on METV.